You've heard of the survival rule of threes. It's a staple of outdoor knowledge. But the 3-hour rule for shelter is dangerously wrong. In harsh conditions, you have as little as 10 minutes. This isn't about discomfort. This is total system shutdown, organ failure caused by exposure. The most misunderstood part of this rule isn't water or food. It's rule number 2, shelter. Now, we'll break down why we get shelter so wrong, what it truly means, and how to prioritize it to save your life. First, the foundation. The rule of threes is a pyramid of priorities. Each need must be met before the next. Rule number 1, 3 minutes without air is absolute. In a house fire, breathable air is the immediate non-negotiable first step. But once your air is secure, the clock starts on the most variable and deadly factor, exposure. Here's the first mistake. Shelter is your defense against the environment. It protects you from wind, which strips heat away. It guards you from wetness that saps warmth. And critically, it insulates you from the ground itself. Your goal is to create a microclimate, a small pocket of survivable space around your body. Why so urgent? It's about core body temperature. Your body fights to stay at 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit. When it loses heat too fast, hypothermia begins. First comes shivering. Then, as your core temp drops, confusion sets in. This is lethal. The person needing shelter is now mentally incapable of building it. This mental decline is why that 10-minute window is so threatening. You don't have 3 hours to decide. You have minutes before you can't decide at all. This is not just a cold weather problem. In a desert, the sun is the threat. Shelter provides shade, preventing deadly heat stroke. So we know exposure kills. But what does shelter actually look like? It is probably not what you imagine. Most people picture a complex lean-to. That's a fatal misconception. Shelter is simply anything that modifies your environment for safety. In a blizzard, the best shelter is the snow itself. A snow cave or a trench blocks wind completely and insulates you, trapping body heat. In the desert, it might be the shade of a rock outcropping or digging into cooler sand. It's about reducing solar radiation. Watch any reality survival show. The first thing that breaks people is the misery and physical toll of a night spent exposed without proper shelter. So the best shelter isn't one specific design. It's a tarp you brought with you. It deploys fast to block wind, rain, and sun. But can we always trust the 3 hours part of the rule? The truth is more complex. The rule is a mental shortcut, not a scientific formula. Myth number 1, you only need to worry in winter. Fact, even a 50 degrees Fahrenheit summer night can be dangerous if you're wet and exposed. Myth number 2, my high-tech jacket is enough. Fact, without a barrier from wind and rain, even the best gear will eventually fail. Myth number 3, I have 3 hours to figure it out. Fact, as we've seen, that clock can shrink to minutes depending on wind, wetness, and your health. So if it's not perfectly accurate, why do we use it? Because in a crisis, your brain needs simple rules to overcome panic and make a decision. This brings us to the most significant decision you will make. Knowing the danger, what is your first action after you can breathe? Recall the physiological cascade of hypothermia. Your ability to think clearly is the first casualty. You must prioritize shelter before your brain fails. And since shelter is not a mansion, you act immediately. Get out of the wind, get a tarp up, get off the cold ground. These actions buy you hours. Thirst and hunger will scream for your attention, but you can survive 3 days without water. You cannot survive 30 minutes if your core temp is plummeting. The 3-3-3 rule is a powerful tool, but only if you understand its most urgent part. People fail because they treat 3 hours as a guarantee, not a deadly ceiling. You are no longer breaking rule number 2 because you now understand it is not about building a house. It is about immediately stopping heat loss. Knowledge is useless without practice. Your takeaway is this: learn to set up a tarp in 3 different ways. Time yourself in bad weather. This single skill, creating a quick, effective shelter, is more likely to save your life than any other piece of survival knowledge. Don't just know the rule. Master the priority. What's the one piece of shelter gear you never leave home without? Let us know in the comments.